YNABers, my name is Jesse Meekum, and this is podcast number 371 for YNAB, where we teach you 4 rules to help you stop living paycheck to paycheck, get out of debt, and save more money. Today I want to go on a little bit of a rant. I hate it, just hate it when people act like renting a place to live is the worst thing in the world. When they act like renting is, quote, throwing your money away. It's not. It's not. You are paying for all sorts of convenience. Let's think through just a few off the cuff because I didn't prep much beforehand. So, you are paying for shelter. Okay, got it. You are paying for flexibility. You can change your location fairly easily. You are paying for not having to worry about maintenance. You are paying for being able to seize an opportunity, which I guess is a lot like flexibility. You are paying for not having the risk of the asset going down in value. You are paying for, sometimes, depending on where you're renting, like an apartment, you're paying for other amenities that come along with it. And that's just a few, but I don't like when people say, oh, rent is just throwing your money away, because at the end of renting, you don't have a house. If you buy a house, you pay the mortgage, you finally pay it off after 30 years, or if you're a YNABer, it's probably much faster because y'all are awesome. But be that as it may, at the end of the mortgage, you own a house. At the end of renting, you don't. But I wasn't paying to own the house. I was paying to rent the house, and they're completely different transactions. When you are renting, you're getting back the value of renting. When you're buying, you're getting back the value of buying. And I know that seems weird to have to say it like that, but people equate the two, and they're not similar. They're similar. They're related, right? They're not even distant cousins. They're related pretty closely, but they are not the same thing. So when you buy a home, you are paying to own a home. And when you rent, you are paying to rent the home and all of the value that rent entails. Now, are there some downsides to it? Sure. Yeah, like if they sell the house and you have to leave, if you're month to month, then you're a little more, up in the air on if you're going to stay there or not. There are downsides, of course, and sometimes those downsides are the upsides of owning, but you just want to make sure that you're very clear about what it is you're purchasing. When you're buying rent, or that's actually a nice way of saying it. When you're buying rent, when you're buying a home, you're getting that house. When you're renting a home, you're getting the shelter and all those conveniences that come along with it. When I buy milk, I don't say, well, at the end of the time drinking that milk, I no longer have the milk, therefore I threw the money away, right? And I'm talking about even Fairlife milk. And y'all know I'm gunning for Fairlife to be our number one first and ever and only exclusive sponsor to the YNAB podcast. So when I buy that half gallon of Fairlife chocolate milk, delicious Fairlife chocolate milk, makes your bones grow stronger, perfect for a post-workout supplement. But anyway, when I buy that and then I drink it all and I enjoy it tremendously, I love the texture. I love the creaminess. I love the right balance of sweet to, I guess, not sweet. I love that it's just the right amount of chocolate. I love that it leaves a little bit of film on the glass after I'm done drinking it. But at the end of my transaction with Fairlife, where I was not given free Fairlife for talking about Fairlife, I've still had to just buy it at my neighborhood Walmart. But be that as it may, when I buy that Fairlife and then drink it, I'm not upset. Quite the opposite. I'm very happy that I enjoyed the milk and then now it's gone. And it's the same thing with rent. You aren't upset that you had shelter and now you don't because you're just going to buy some rent somewhere else. So please, if you're feeling pressure, and I know the markets, I'm not a real estate expert by any stretch, but I know the markets, at least here in our area, are going up, and in a lot of the areas they're going up, and maybe they aren't going up in your area as fast, but they're probably going up some. And we've been on a little bit of a growth streak with real estate here in the United States, and I feel like that's when you start to have people really question the value of renting. But they're exchangeable, but you're exchanging very different things. When you buy a home, yes, at the end of that purchase, you will own the home. The bank will no longer own it. You will own it if you ever pay it off, right? And because you're a YNAB, you will because you're awesome. But when we have a situation where you're buying a lot more than just the home. Yes, you get the shelter, same as rent, but you also get this feeling of putting down roots, which is good. Con is that it's harder to move, right? You're on the hook for ownership or for maintenance of everything. And that means you have to replace the roof. And that means you have to replace the HVAC. You have to replace the carpet. You have to repaint. You will undoubtedly want to do some things that are improvements. Other things will be forced on you. Like the time the water heater started leaking 3 days after our warranty had expired. I'm not kidding, 3 days. So when that kind of thing happens, you're thinking home ownership, huh? Okay, you're not just buying the home. You're paying for everything inside it, everything around it, everything structurally attached to it, the nice, pretty lawn that you have to fertilize and aerate and mow and edge, and maybe you pay someone to do it, maybe you do it yourself. Either way, it's costing you, right? You're spending your time or your money. It's costing you. There's a lot to that home ownership. When you got to pay more expensive rates for insurance, most definitely. You have to pay your property taxes, absolutely. And you have to pay a lot of interest, most definitely, for that home. So that purchase at the end, yes, you do own a home. Maybe, let's say let's say that you bought a home that was $500,000. At the end of 30 years, you very likely paid $850,000 for that home. So you paid $850,000. You also replaced the roof twice, or maybe one time and the next one's just about due. You replaced the HVAC 2-3 times. You repainted at least once completely, if not twice. You did the exterior stucco or whatever one time. You maintained the yard all 30 years. You added additional features to the home. You replaced the carpet. You decided to go with fancy hardwood. That was expensive. You replaced the dishwasher not twice, but 3 times. And the fridge you had to replace 3 times as well because we don't build things to last anymore. That's why I want to start the Buy It for Life Heirloom Toaster Company. You had to replace all sorts of things. The plumbing. You had a leak. You had to deal with all of that with the insurance, with having someone come out and get things dry and all repaired. Your kid slammed their hole into the wall accidentally and they were playing football, so you wonder how accidental it was, and that needs to be repaired. It goes on and on and on and on. Homeownership is extremely, extremely expensive. So when you're weighing the costs, make sure you include all of the costs. It is not just, is my rent more than a mortgage would be? It is far more than that. Include the interest, include the property taxes, include, I guess the mortgage calculation may include that for you, but if it doesn't, make sure you include it. Include the maintenance on the exterior, the landscaping, the trimming and hedging and edging and blah, 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 blah. Include all the interior maintenance forced upon you and the voluntary improvements. Include that big bathroom remodel you'll do in 12 years and the kitchen remodel you'll do in 20. All of that is part of the cost of ownership. So please, for the sake of this podcast going on any longer, please don't say that renting is just throwing your money away. It's not. Until next time, follow YNAB's 4 rules and you will win financially. You've never budgeted like this.